right. So, have you ever thought about, like, what happens after we die?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like one of those big mysteries, right?
Yeah, definitely the ultimate question, I guess. And we're not going to try to answer it today or anything, but we are going to check out, like, one interesting take on it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, it's from a short story called God's Secret. It's by Peter Foreman. And it's like this kind of funny but also kind of thought-provoking way to look at the whole heaven and hell thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have their own ideas about what those places are like.
Totally. And this story kind of turns those ideas upside down. It's like a cosmic thought experiment with a twist.
I like it already. So how does this story approach the afterlife?
Okay, so it starts with our main character, right? He dies, and suddenly he's in this huge GE hall. I'm talking massive cloud-like structures. Yeah. Everything is bathed in this bright light. So naturally he thinks...
He made it to heaven.
Right. Especially because, like, he lived a pretty good life, tried to be a good person, you know?
Makes sense. It's like what we're kind of taught growing up. Good people go to heaven.
Exactly. But that's where the story throws a curveball. He walks up to this reception desk, you know, very official looking, and the person behind it is like, nope, not heaven. This is just the reception. It's like some kind of cosmic waiting room.
Okay, so not heaven, but not hell either. It's like a layover.
Yeah, and you'll never guess how they decide who goes where.
I don't know, some kind of test, maybe? An interview?
A slot machine.
Wait, what? A slot machine?
Yep, you heard that right. A slot machine. And to make things even crazier, it's not just any slot machine. It uses dice.
Dice. So, like, you roll the dice and that decides your eternal fate.
Pretty much. You roll between 1 and 6, boom, you're off to heaven. Yeah. But if you get 7 to 12...
Hello, eternal damnation.
Exactly. Our main character is obviously, like, freaking out, right? Yeah. All those good deeds he did his whole life. And it comes down to a roll of the dice. Just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow. I mean, where's the justice in that?
Right. And the receptionist's reaction is just ice cold. He's, like, totally unfazed by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just says God's orders and adds that hell's getting a bit overcrowded anyway.
So not only is it random, but hell is also overbooked. That's a pretty bleak outlook.
It is. It's like the story is poking fun at our whole human way of trying to understand these huge concepts. Like, we want things to be fair and make sense, but what if it's all just random?
Right, we come up with these systems to try to make sense of the afterlife, but what if it doesn't work like that at all?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got this system where your eternal fate comes down to pure chance. Where does the story go from there?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. God's Secret throws in some twists that make you question everything you thought you knew about good and evil. Like, just imagine Jack the Ripper ending up in heaven.
Jack the Ripper in heaven. Yeah, that's a scary thought.
Right, because he got lucky with the dice. It makes you wonder if our actions really matter in the grand scheme of things.
It really does. And then there's Albert Einstein. He shows up at this reception like 40 years before our main character. And he's just as baffled by this whole system as anyone would be.
Oh, of course he is. The idea of a god who plays dice with the universe, I mean, that would probably go against everything Einstein believed in.
Yeah, it's like a little nod to that famous quote of his about God not playing dice. It's like the story is connecting this idea of random chance with some pretty big scientific and philosophical questions.
Definitely. It makes you think about whether there's any order to the universe at all, or if it's all just chaos.
So we've got this totally unsettling system for the afterlife, some historical figures thrown into the mix. And our main character is standing there about to roll the dice for his eternity. Talk about pressure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. That's for sure. What happens next?
Well, you'll have to wait for part 2 to find out.
All right. Guess I'm hooked now.
Good. I knew you would be.
I can't wait to hear what happens next.
Don't worry. We'll be back soon with more of God's Secret and its crazy take on the afterlife.
Sounds good. I'm ready for it.
Okay, until next time, take care.
See ya. So the story kind of like builds all the suspense, right? Our guy's standing there wrestling with his doubts, you know, sends up a prayer and finally pulls that lever.
What happens?
Well, let's just say those dice don't exactly roll in his favor.
The back card. He's going to hell.
Yeah. But here's the thing. This isn't the hell you might be picturing, you know, fire and brimstone and all that.
Really? So what's it like then?
Well, he enters this hall, right? Kind of smoky walls, flickering flames, a little creepy. But then this super cheerful receptionist greets him, like all smiles, and a womb key.
Huh. That's not exactly what I expected.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. And get this. His hell room comes with drinks magazines, a wardrobe, even a bottle of wine.
Wait a minute. A bottle of wine in hell? Are you serious?
Yep. It's more like a luxury resort than anything else. There's a reading lounge, a swimming pool, tennis courts. They even call it Paradise Regained.
Paradise Regained. That's usually something you hear about heaven, not hell.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out, because of that whole dice system, hell has become this place for all the good people who just got unlucky with their roll.
So over time, all these relatively good people end up there, and it changes the whole vibe.
Exactly. They've basically made hell a pretty nice place to be.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's like the story is saying that our expectations of hell might be totally wrong.
Yeah. And to really hammer that point home, the story even mentions some of the residents. You might find Gandhi hanging out by the pool or Florence Nightingale leading a book club.
No way. That's hilarious.
It is. It really turns the whole idea of good and evil on its head.
So Jack the Ripper might be enjoying a spacious heaven while Gandhi is stuck in a book club in hell. This is too much.
I know, right? It's all about that random chance. Good deeds don't guarantee a good afterlife, and bad deeds don't automatically send you to eternal suffering. It all comes down to those dice.
So the story's basically saying that our whole system of judging people might be completely off.
Yeah. It makes you think about whether we should be focused on keeping score of good and bad deeds or just trying to live a life that feels meaningful to us.
Okay, so hell has become this unexpected paradise thanks to the random dice system. Where does the story go from there?
Well, just when you think it can't get any crazier, there's another twist. So the receptionist gets this phone call, right? And it's about this new group that just arrived at the dice machine.
Oh, no. Don't tell me.
Yeah, it's like terrorists, criminals, you name it. Like the worst of the worst.
So all those good people who made hell into a paradise, they might be outnumbered soon.
It's possible. The story ends on that kind of uncertain note. Like, we don't know for sure what happens, but...
But it sounds like hell's good times might be coming to an end.
It could be. It's like, even with this random system, actions still have consequences.
Yeah. And sometimes those consequences are like totally unexpected.
Definitely. So God's Secret takes this huge topic, like what happens after we die? And it makes you laugh, but it also makes you think.
It really does. It kind of messes with your head a little bit.
In a good way, though. It makes you question everything you thought you knew.
Totally. So we've got this random system for the afterlife. Good people in hell, bad people potentially getting lucky. And it all comes back to this idea of chance.
Right. Like, what does it all mean? If our fate is decided by a roll of the dice, what does that say about how we should live our lives?
It's a big question. And I don't think there's an easy answer.
Definitely not. But it's something to think about, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I love about this story.
Yeah.
It doesn't try to give you all the answers. It just makes you ask the questions.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all you need. A little nudge to start thinking about things in a new way.
So if you're up for a story that's funny, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit mind-bending, I highly recommend checking out God's Secret by Peter Foreman.
Yeah. It's a wild ride, but it's definitely worth it.
All right, that's it for this deep dive into God's Secret. Hope you enjoyed it.
Me too.
Oh.
Always fun to explore these big ideas.
Until next time, take care.
See ya.